ceasefire, but finger on trigger. Iran warns of a harsher lesson, ready to strike at any moment. Trump extends the truce. Tehran says losers cannot dictate terms. Two sides, no trust. And in Hormuz, the standoff is far from over. The ceasefire between the United States and Iran is holding, but only just. Iran's top joint military command, the Khatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters, has put Washington and Tel Aviv on notice that any act of aggression would draw an immediate counterstrike on predetermined targets.
Our capable and powerful forces have been at full readiness for a long time, and our finger is on the trigger. In the event of any aggression, our forces will immediately strike predetermined targets with full force and face the aggressor, America and the child-killing Zionist regime, with an even harsher lesson than before.
The IRGC's aerospace commander, Brigadier General Majid Musavi, went further, telling Iranians gathered in city squares that his forces would strike wherever the people directed them, should the enemy step out of line after the truce.
Today, we have come to you to declare our pledge. If, after the ceasefire, the enemy oversteps and commits any aggression against this soil, this time our target will be wherever you direct us. Let the southern neighbors know. If their land and resources are used by America to attack the Iranian nation, they must bid farewell to oil production in the West Asia region.
Then came Trump's move. Late on April 21st, he announced an indefinite ceasefire extension, citing a request from Pakistani mediators, and said he would wait for Tehran to produce what he called a unified proposal before talks could resume.
Based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal.
Iran was having none of it. The advisor to the parliament speaker and lead negotiator, Mohammad Bakr Ghalibaf, dismissed the extension outright, calling it a ploy to buy time for a surprise strike.
Trump's ceasefire extension means nothing. The losing side cannot dictate terms. The continuation of the siege is no different from bombardment and must be met with a military response. Moreover, Trump's ceasefire extension is certainly a ploy to buy time for a surprise strike. The time for Iran to take the initiative has come.
Tehran's position on the Strait of Hormuz has not shifted. It stays shut for as long as American warships keep Iranian ports sealed. And if Washington pushes further, Iran says it will break through by force. Back in Washington, Trump found time to go after a Wall Street Journal editorial board member who wrote that the Iranians were taking him for a sucker, a charge the president rejected at some length on Truth Social.
An idiot on the Wall Street Journal's editorial board named Elliot Kaufman just wrote an op-ed entitled, "The Iranians Take Trump for a Sucker." Really? For 47 years, they have killed our people and many others and taken advantage of every president except me. And what did I give to them? A country in tatters.
The next round of talks in Islamabad has no date. Iran, for now, has refused to take part in direct negotiations, citing historical mistrust with the Western powers. Trump, on the other hand, seems keen to strike a deal and perhaps put this behind him before the midterms. A retired CIA analyst has set off a firestorm with a claim that stopped people mid-scroll. Donald Trump, during an emergency White House meeting, had tried to access the nuclear codes, and the country's top military officer had told him no. Larry Johnson, who blogs on national security and appeared on the YouTube program Judging Freedom, said General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, stood up and refused the president's request outright.
They recognize they've got some problems and got to try to deal with it. And then there was a report out that they had an emergency meeting Saturday night. And apparently, well, one report coming out of that meeting at the White House is that Trump wanted to use the nuclear codes, and General Dan Kane stood up and said no. He invoked his privilege as the head of the military, so to speak. It was apparently quite a blow up. There are pictures of Kane coming out of that meeting with his head down to the ground. So, you know, there's some very, very bizarre things going on in D.C.
The claim landed against a backdrop that made it easy to believe. The Wall Street Journal had already reported that Trump was kept out of the Situation Room during a critical Iran rescue operation on April 19th, after he allegedly spent hours screaming at aides following the downing of a US aircraft by Iranian forces. Senior officials concluded his temperament would compromise the mission. But the nuclear codes claim is a different matter entirely. Fact-checking outlet Lead Stories traced Johnson's account and found no confirmed reports of any emergency Pentagon meeting on April 19th. The last documented Pentagon briefing had been on April 16th, where Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth appeared alongside General Kane. Nothing since. Lead Stories also searched across Google News and Yahoo News for any corroborating reports of Kane refusing Trump or walking out of any meeting. It found none. Had it happened, the outlet noted, major newsrooms would have been all over it. Johnson's account remains unverified. No government official has confirmed the meeting took place. No major outlet has independently corroborated the claim. The Situation Room episode appears to be real. The nuclear codes story, for now, might not. Even as a fragile ceasefire between the United States and Iran took hold this week, a new and far more dangerous spectre has entered the conversation: a nuclear war. The warning came not from a government briefing or classified intelligence, but from a live television studio in Israel, where journalist Shimon Riklin, appearing alongside National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir on Channel 14, raised the possibility of deploying a neutron bomb against Iran.
Why aren't we using what's called an atomic neutron bomb in Iran? It's a type of atomic bomb that doesn't damage buildings. It kills people in a limited way, everywhere.
Ben-Gvir did not condemn the suggestion. He nodded, laughed, and told Riklin to keep speaking. The exchange drew immediate international attention. Within hours, claims began circulating that both China and Pakistan had privately warned Israel against any nuclear use. The claims were relayed publicly by American commentator and Young Turks co-founder Cenk Uygur, speaking on Piers Morgan Uncensored on April 8th. Neither Beijing nor Islamabad has officially confirmed any such warning, and no government statement from either country has been independently verified at the time of broadcast.
And by the way, if you haven't heard, China and Pakistan have said that if Israel nukes Iran, they will nuke Israel. So here we are on the precipice of a nuclear holocaust because this baboon is in office and he's like, oh, Bibi, how can I make you happy? Can you please give me more money? Am I going to be a hero, Bibi? I can't stand this guy. And doing the exact opposite of what he promised. Okay. The exact opposite. And one more thing a point that Glenn made that is really important. So Russia goes and destroys their army and their treasure in Ukraine. Now we're going to destroy our treasure. We spent $300 million on the rescue alone. It was a brilliant operation, but $300 million. We're spending $1 to $2 billion a day.
China's foreign ministry, for its part, has consistently called for restraint and a political settlement, stopping well short of any nuclear ultimatum in its public statements. What is on the record, however, is the broader context. The ceasefire between the US and Iran, brokered by Pakistan on April 8th, with just 90 minutes to spare before Trump's deadline, remains deeply unstable. Israel has said it does not consider itself bound by the agreement in Lebanon. Iran has already threatened to suspend it. And IRGC commanders, in a joint statement, warned their forces remain with hands on the trigger. Against that backdrop, a laughing minister and a journalist casually discussing atomic weapons on primetime television is not simply inflammatory. For a region already 40 days into war, it is a measure of exactly how far things have gone.